we have one of the largest out-of-the-box pattern libraries. So what is a pattern library? Basically, it's the ability to recognize almost 700 different data center class applications that might be installed somewhere in your environment. Of those 700 different applications, there could be a potential of up to 35,000 different configurations that we will recognize out of the box when we start to discover those. So that's various different versions of the applications and how to query for the different versions and how they might be connected to back-end databases and so on. So we've built this very extensive library to get you out of the chute and moving very quickly with the product. A recent addition to the family was this concept we call Big Discovery. Big Discovery did a couple of things for us. It improved the speed and the efficiency of how we go about doing discoveries, even on a single standalone ADDM appliance. But we've also introduced this concept now of being able to cluster ADDM appliances together so that they all act as a single appliance. It could be 2 appliances, it could be 5 appliances. And what we'll do is we'll stripe the data across those various appliances so that we can get a kind of a fault tolerance capability out of that, as well as being able to spread the load and be able to capture more data faster than we've ever been possible to do. Now, given the theme of our webinar today, that being able to tame that data, with all of that data that we're collecting that rapidly, Stacy, can you give us a quick example of how we might be able to leverage some of the ADDM capabilities to tame that data?
Yes. So here, let me start off by going into a quick demonstration. I've landed in the home screen for the ADDM appliance, and it looked like most of the audience were probably current customers. So you're probably interested in some of the storage and load balancing. But for those that are new, I'll point out a couple of things here. When we start talking about taming data, what you'll notice, I've clicked that second icon, but it's bringing up all the available dashboards that you get out of the box. Now, understand you can customize the dashboard and make it specific to you what you want to see, but this is the initial way to start taming that data. And really what it's doing is putting it in slices for what you may be interested in at any given time. So I'm going to start off in the operating systems dashboard. And what you can see quickly on the left, I've got my Windows operating systems. And what's interesting to me on this first view, 2 months ago, my servers were pretty stagnant. But over the last couple of months, I can see that we've introduced some more servers, or it could be that my discovery reached out and found additional parts of the environment. But what's more telling here is that the number of 2003 servers that I'm finding is up in the neighborhood of 70-some-odd servers. So for me, and again, this is information that's going to be at your fingertips, it's kind of interesting because that's an operating system that, as we all know, is going out of the life cycle, if you will. It's ended. Microsoft has ended the support. So if we're running that in the environment, we're at a little bit of a risk because there are additional costs associated with me getting support for those older operating systems. So what I'll do here quickly is just change this chart type. So on the fly, I can see now some numbers here. I've got 68 or 34% of the machines running 2003 server. Nice thing about these dashboards as well, they're interactive, so I can click. And now what it's going to do is present me with some rows and columns, if you will, for those 2003 servers. So here I click just on the first one in the list, and it's bringing up some good information. So here I've got my general details. Again, if I'm looking at this from the business perspective, we're running 2003. I need to know what software we're running on there that's my business critical software, because maybe we want to discontinue running it on this older operating system. So when I hit these software instances, that comes up for me very quickly. I'm going to go ahead and hit the back button so we end up back on that server and collapse the general details. I've got identity information. I've got some operating system information. And so, again, I was alluding to running the older operating system, and here quickly I'm able to see with respect to this 2003 operating system, that end-of-life date was 4 years ago, the end-of-support date 4 years ago, and the extended support is coming up in 5 months. But again, this is information at my fingertips because in addition to us running an older operating system that the vendor is no longer going to support, we're probably paying a premium to get the support for this older operating system. I'll collapse the operating system. One other thing to note here, this is with respect to the hardware and network information. I can see quickly a PowerEdge 2950. I can see the serial number. I can see the RAM. So there again, I'm looking at this and thinking that's an older server that we have deployed. It may make sense for us to pull data off of here and put it on a more efficient server. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go back to the dashboard. We were looking at that for Windows. I can look at similar information for my Unix operating systems, and then I'll have some reports. But again, the nice part about this taming of the data is I'm only looking at operating systems. If I want to switch this and let's say choose a different dashboard, let's say I go into the server consolidation. So we have an initiative. We need to consolidate some of our servers down. Here really quickly I'm going to be able to see I've got a good amount of machines that are running a CPU less than 2 gigahertz. So again, as time is evolving, the CPUs and those machines are getting faster, which means the applications that I have running on those machines may also run faster. So I may want to consolidate and get the machines that are running these older CPUs and push them towards the right side of this graph. Again, interactive. So I can at any point click. I can see here I've got 8 of my 25 machines in this 1 to 1.5 gigahertz CPU range with the 2 logical CPUs. So I can click, see which machines those are, and then again, take my corrective actions. Okay, I'm going to hit one more dashboard before we pass it back to Joe. So here we'll just head back to that home tab. We're getting back into my dashboards that are available out of the box, and I'm going to hit the, let's hit this hardware reference data. I'm sorry, let's just stay in this one and then we'll head back. So the other thing that you'll notice in this server consolidation is this large compute. So really quickly I'm able to see which machines are consuming a large amount of power in my data center. So if we have green IT initiatives, this report becomes very important for them in addition to that server consolidation. So just keep in mind, anytime that you want to tame the data or look at specific slices in your environment, on this Home tab, you can hit this second icon, which is the dashboards, and choose the relevant one. When we come back into the demonstrations, we'll hit one of the other dashboards that's going to, again, slice it down where we're only looking at a different initiative.
All right, thanks, Stacy. I appreciate that. Can we? Yeah, sorry. So, you know, what we just saw there was a way that we can very quickly focus into a specific area of interest, depending on what it is that we're looking for in the data. Of course, we have the ability at any point to go in and do, you know, standard queries, standard filters, and things of that nature to create our own reports and so on. But those out-of-the-box dashboards and out-of-the-box reports and queries that are pre-built into the system allow us to very quickly get to the data that we're looking for in a very specific manner. So another one of the things that we've found in using the ADDM, and you know, I'm gonna step back a little bit and just mention the fact that one of the issues that has been very prevalent over the years, and Gartner backs this up, is that 80% of unplanned downtime in our environment is typically caused by changes that we're making in our environment. Why is that? Well, typically it's because changes are being made on more of an infrastructure-centric thinking process rather than based on a business service or a business application-centric process, right? So I'm going to go out, I'm going to patch these servers because, you know, it's Super Tuesday or whatever it happens to be, and I've got these patches that are applicable to these machines. Oftentimes, we can make changes in the environment without realizing the potential effect that we could have on being able on being able to support the applications that run our business. Now, again, part of the information that we have available on our fingertips, oftentimes what ADDM is doing is it's presenting data that you already have somewhere. The idea is that we want to present that all in one place, right? So your network teams have a lot of data about the network device. Your server teams have a lot of information about the servers. Your application teams and so on. They all have their own data, but it's rarely shared into a single space where we can go and we can look and say, well, I need to make a change to this switch or to this server. What impact is that potentially going to have on my environment? So, these silos of data, they require us to go in and have a lot of different people come together when we have problems and so on. If we can leverage ADDM to take out 75% of that unplanned downtime, we're now down to about a 20% of our unplanned downtime being caused by changes in the environment. That's, really a big, big piece to adding value to the way we're delivering value to the business, right? So based on all that, Stacy, could you give us a quick example of what it means to look at our infrastructure from a business service perspective?
Absolutely. So here I'm going to go and look at a particular application. So Joe has come to me and he's telling me as a user, so he's in the business, that his trading application is running slow. So from an IT perspective, we've mapped his trading application. And what I can see here are several things. I can see the software that is included in his trading application. So I may, doing my troubleshooting, okay, I can see what the application is. I may verify that we're running the latest product version, because again, as products rev, they incorporate additional efficiencies, and we want to make sure that we're running the latest version of that software. I'm also able to see what those underlying host machines are hosting that software. So here again, I can look at the different servers that we have running. I can see the operating system and verify that we have the latest patches for a particular operating system. But I can go one step further and look at the underlying infrastructure beyond the server. So, in other words, what switches are those servers tied into? Have we done the due diligence on the network side with respect to the duplexing, et cetera? So here I'm going to look at this in a visualization. And so what this is doing is giving me a high-level view of what that trading application looks like. So Joe mentioned doing changes in the network. Changes would be reflected here because I'm going to be able to see if we potentially take, let's say, this switch down, I'm impacting everything tied into this switch. In the example I gave, the business owner has come to me and is telling me that his application is running slowly. So I've looked at the software. We're running the latest version there. Now what I can do from here is just kind of work my way all the way down. So I'm going to start here. I guess kind of from a logistic perspective, over here on the left are going to be your legends for what those icons represent. So at this top layer, I have my application. Again, that's his trading application. I'm able to see the software instances that make up that trading application. I'm going over here to the right because then I'm able to see the underlying hardware for a particular software instance. So here, really quickly, I can see I have a couple pieces of his software or his application clustered onto a particular box. And what I'm going to do is just click one of these boxes and look at the details.